All right, welcome to episode 6 of the Domination Rankings of Everything, the show that creates a weekly top 25 of absolutely everything together by our co-hosts who will zealously and earnestly advocate for the entry into the top 25 of some things for which they have immense passion and knowledge. We have with us Mark Hoover, a published humor writer and editor, and comes with a clearly unfair advantage of having been a long-time litigator. What's
Hi.
up, Mark?
How are you, David? Boy, it's great to be here. And I don't know if this, litigator thing is going to hurt me, help me. It certainly hasn't been a lot of fun to do it, in real life. So, hopefully, I'll be able to use a little bit of it here tonight. But we'll have to wait and see the powers of persuasion.
All right. And our other co-host is comedian Paul Nardizzi, who has been on Conan, Comedy Central, and his career somehow survived writing 6 joke books with me. Paul, how are you?
Good. Those shows you mentioned are all off the air, by the way. So I find the further away you get from your TV credits, the more likely you end up on a podcast with 2 lawyers and an intern.
Well, we do have with us another one of our superstar interns, Jillian Barron, who just graduated from Siena College and now is an aspiring professional golfer. And a fact she surely would rather not have me divulge, she is my daughter. How are you, Jillian?
Right.
Hang on. I gotta find the line you prepared for me. Oh, here it is. I am so happy to be here.
Very good. All
Wow.
right.
Apple fall far from the
Perfect
tree.
delivery there. All right. Then there's me, the grand poobah of college basketball times, which is where the domination rankings originated, but for just college basketball, which we have now expanded to absolutely everything. Thus, the domination rankings of everything together. So here's the structure of the show. And as will likely become obvious, structure is an overstatement. But we start with 3 rounds of debate as to which 3 new things will be added to the top 25. Then 3 things will come out, which is a net of 0. But I don't think that means that we are accomplishing nothing. Feel free to agree, Jillian. That's right.
Sure. I'd just like to let everyone know that my excessive blinking isn't a nervous tick. It's Morse code for I'm here against my will.
All right. Very good. Very
Jillian's
nice.
funny. Jillian's funnier than her father.
Oh, look at that.
Holy cow.
Wonderful.
Whoa.
All right. A little bit pain there, but I will move on. All right. So after the debates, we will reveal the latest top 25 according to our many voters. And then the last three things on that, on the voters' top 25, will be cut, replaced with our new things. So, Jillian, what do we have for round 1 of the debates?
All right. So for round 1, the judge is going to be Dave. We'll have Paul arguing for summertime versus Mark arguing for Formula One.
All right. Everybody gets 1 minute to start. Jillian will let you know when you have about 2 seconds left. And then we'll have a back and forth rebuttal. Mark, take it away. Or I'm sorry, Paul, take it away with summertime.
Well, first of all, everyone loves summertime. Even Mark, who's arguing against me, loves summertime, whereas I hate his categories. I just want to say that up front. Okay. The biggest problem in life is everyone hates to work. Okay. You can't argue that. People that say they love their job invariably love it because someone else is doing all the work for them. Now, the time when you don't have to work, for the most part, is the summertime. If you take that away, people be jumping off bridges by the thousands. We need the summer. Okay. It's also, by the way, the time that you most often do number 6 on our list, which is sex. So again, take it away and most of us wouldn't even be here. Lastly, during the summer, okay, warmer weather, longer days boost your productivity, which is a great, perfect middle finger to your boss, because what good is it when you're not in the office anyways? Thank you.
There you go. That's all right. Mark, you are up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'll concede. I think summer, is a good time of year. Don't ask me that in August when it's like 99 degrees and 130% humidity, because then I just cannot wait for fall. I think the problem with summer, trying to pretend it's like a dominant, it's just one of 4 seasons, right? So it's only a quarter of the year. So it's clearly not dominant of the entire year. And I think you could probably find, yep, there are a lot of folks that do love summertime, but I bet you could find folks that love that first day of fall. Dave Barron, big Buffalo Bills fan, cannot wait for fall time and football season. There are skiers that love that first snow. So every season, unfortunately, brings positives with it. So therefore, the fact that it's not like all year round, yeah, maybe if I had summer all the time so I didn't have to work and maybe had more sex, for sure. But I think the fact that it's not all year round doesn't quite make it dominant. On the other hand, and I don't want to go too long, I'm sure I'll get cut off. After
10 seconds.
one person by the name of Paul who doesn't like it is worldwide popularity. I mean, this thing takes place on 5 of the 7 continents. Matter of fact, just last week in Spain, over 300,000 spectators flocked to Spain to watch the Grand Prix. That's just one of 20 some odd races that occur across the
All
world.
right, is that a minute, Jillian?
Time.
All right, Paul, your rebuttal. Back and forth
on the
now.
rebuttal, but
I love the fact that he spent most of his time talking about my category, not his own.
I was rebutting it. I was rebutting it.
What I don't like about Formula One is that when a guy takes the lead early in the race, it's pretty much over. It's really hard to pass the cars. It will be like akin to watching a basketball game and a team wins the opening tip and you're like, we're screwed.
Understandable. Yep. But I think that what's make that first start. That's what makes the qualifying important. It's what makes the pole position important. So the entire weekend, and then it doesn't take much, right? It takes one slip up, it takes one mistake, it takes one safety car that comes on. You've got speed, you've got villains, you've got heroes, you've got drama on and off the track. And this is not the old left turn, left turn, left turn. I mean, we've got road tracks, we've got straightaways, you've got 200 some odd miles per hour. I mean, this stuff, look, this domination rankings list has got the Premier League on it, right? F1 blows the Premier League away.
Whoa!
Nothing else in terms of
All right,
domination.
Paul, jump in there.
The most popular sport in the world, and F1 is blowing it away? Come on.
No. The difference is you have Premier League. That's just the Premier League. If you want to use that for domination, then use football, use soccer, because I'll give you soccer worldwide, but the Premier League is strictly and purely England. That's where that is. If you guys want football and soccer over F1, then you got to call it soccer, because you've got the German leagues, you've got Brazil, you've got the La Liga, you've got hundreds of different leagues that does overall make soccer better. Premier League is just a subset of that, does not trump F1.
All right,
Just
Paul,
another
you got
issue.
anything?
We're getting
issue.
tangent on Premier League, but go ahead.
Another issue with F1 is I hate these sports where they're wearing a helmet. And in this case, they're also inside a car behind a mesh net. How do I even know you're in there? This could be an automatic right there.
Oh, it's no A1. And let's add this little nugget. Brad Pitt is now making movies about F1 and is made on Apple TV. So there's got to be something there on that. I mean, the fact that Brad Pitt is making a movie on it, I don't think he needs to see anything more. The guy knows his stuff.
You guys got more? You want me to make my decision? Paul, you got another
Go
hit?
ahead, Judge.
All right,
Well,
this is what I got.
He's got Brad Pitt, but we got Charlie Day and the other guy doing Wrexham. So we got 2-1 there.
All right, here's how I see it. This is tough because F1, it turns out, is not the most popular sport. It's not even, it's barely in the top 10. It is a sport that is less popular than field hockey, ping pong, and wait for it, golf. No offense to my daughter, who is an aspiring golf pro. But come on, watching golf is almost as bad as watching Formula One. So
No.
what's the difference? I mean, I try to figure out what the difference is with Indy, and so I look it up, and apparently there's different chassis involved. Then I got to look up what a chassis is. It's too much work for me. So it seems like summertime has to be more dominant, except summertime isn't even the most popular season. I looked that up. It's spring. I mean, there's only 4 seasons. You only got to beat 4 seasons.
Can't even beat spring.
Fall sucks. Everybody hates winter. And so you can't even beat spring, not being the number 1 season. is like not winning the AFC East. You start out with two teams that suck every year. So I'm torn, is what I'm saying. But I'd like to try to make both of you guys happy. I'm a pleaser.
Oh, just being here, Dave. Just
Yeah.
being here.
And then
Oh,
it dawned on me that Mark loves the movie Caddyshack, a movie about golf that my golfing daughter doesn't even love. But he might even say it's top notch.
I'm
And
not
in that
sure.
movie, a song is played called Summertime Blues. I'm going to raise a fuss, I'm going to raise a holler about a working all summer just to try to earn a dollar. There ain't no cure for the summertime blues. So,
Well, that's a tangent.
because of the Caddyshack soundtrack's connection to summertime, I'm going to make Mark happy by declaring that Paul and Summertime win. Everybody's a winner.
nice.
I
Well,
love
thank you, Your Honor. I feel so much better.
All right,
Just be a
Jillian,
lawyer.
on to round two.
All right, we're moving on to round two now, where the judge will be Paul and Mark will be arguing for Fred Rogers versus Dave arguing for Rome.
All right, Mark, you get the honor of kicking off.
Thanks. Hold on. I got to switch it. I got to switch up gear. We're going to go BU here for the second round. Carrier's take on here. All right. Now, Dave and I, we already kind of talked about this, and he literally initially thought that the Fred Rogers, nomination was a joke. He thought I was kidding. Like, no, Fred Rogers, in his own quiet way, dominates just by who he is and what he has done. I mean, if you look at what this man has done for not only television, children's workshops, and PBS, he is just a pioneer in the world of television, which is a dominant, medium, right? He broke color barriers. He literally dedicated his life to children. His skills alone are extraordinary. You're shaking your head. He was a writer. He
Yeah,
was
10 seconds.
a composer, a producer, a puppeteer, you name it, this guy did it. And millions of people today can know who he is, thanks him, and thinks the world of him. You say the name Fred Rogers, you can't help but feel good about yourself, and you smile. Boom. That's
All right.
right there is domination.
When I first saw the name Fred Rogers,
Mr. Rogers.
I immediately thought, why does Mark want the guy who played Herman Munster on this list? And it turns out that's not Fred Rogers, that's Fred Gwynn, who might actually have been more dominant than Mr. Rogers.
Wow.
Neither compare to Rome. I love Rome. I say that despite the fact that's where I went on my honeymoon. Rome, you have the Forum, you have the Pantheon, you have the Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps, Sistine Chapel, Piazza Navona. I mean, God, the food there, oh my God, with gnocchi that just melts in your mouth. The Vatican. If you go to the Vatican this year, or in 2000 when I went Jubilee year, you know what you get? A guarantee to go to heaven. How do you beat that?
That's
You know what you get from watching Mr. Rogers? Guaranteed nausea. But my piece, I actually own a piece of the
10
Coliseum.
seconds.
When I was at the Coliseum, I broke off a piece of the Coliseum. My wife distracted the guy walking around with a Uzi. I can't remember how. Maybe it was her beauty, or maybe she farted, one or the other. But unless somebody, I own a piece of the Coliseum. Unless somebody from Interpol is currently listening, then I'm just kidding. I did not break off a piece. That's my initial. Go ahead.
Please. Like, first of all, it's the Vatican City, so it's not Rome. It's Vatican City. It's in and of itself. So stop trying to glom them together, okay? First of all, was Rome at one point dominant? Sure. That was like 2,000 years ago, Dave. All right, that's enough. That was a long, long time ago. And ask the Germanic horde. What did they think of Rome when they just came rolling right through? So basically, yeah. I'll give you some old buildings. I'll give you aqueducts. I'll give you gladiators. That'll give us at least one decent movie, certainly not Gladiator #2. So you get a decent movie out of Rome, but it's not even in terms of an empire, this whole Roman Empire stuff. Please, if you want to look at your rankings, number 26 on the
All
rankings.
right. Let me come in here.
British, Mongols, Russian, forget it. The Roman Empire, Zippo.
All right, let's talk about what the Roman Empire innovated. Let's go with roads. Those are kind of important. You mentioned the aqueducts. Concrete. Concrete. Makes sense that was developed in Rome. I mean, how often is it used by the mafia? You got domes involved. The legal system. Without Rome, we have no legal system. That would mean no lawyers, so that's kind of a pro and a
I
con.
was going to say.
The Republican government. our Constitution came from the calendars, and I'm not talking about like crappy ones on the computer, and the sanitation system on every one of our top 25 so far has been a good bowel movement. It becomes much less good without a sanitation system.
Yeah, well, look, all of that may be, but again, that is all ancient history, my friend. It is all in the past. What, in terms of a dominant type of individual, Mr. Rogers, on his own, not with a bunch of people, not with a bunch of centuries working behind him, on his own. The things that he was able to encourage,
All right. I got to give you another innovation that might seem to be rather persuasive
Not
to a
Caddyshack.
comedian. Satire. Satire was commenced. Satire and farce. Rome. Mr. Rogers' legacy, I'll give him, he saved children's public television, except it's no longer going to exist. So his legacy's going away.
As of right now, it's still there, brother. And that name anywhere will bring just absolute joy when someone says the name Mr. Rogers. Absolute joy. That doesn't happen when you mention Rome.
Question convincing.
What? Where? Pizza? Yay.
All right, you mentioned the puppets. Puppets pretty much originated with Punch and Judy. Punch and Judy was created by a guy named Signor Giovanni Piccini, who trained where? Wait for it, Rome. Without Rome, there's no Mr. Rogers. Should we call a case closed there, or do you want some more body blows?
You're just trying to put Caddyshack to a song to summertime now. This is I'm going to see if I can throw a dart, make something stick. You're just grasping because deep down inside, when you were growing up, well, probably not you because you have no soul, but if you had a soul, Fred Rogers would have been a very important part of your development. We can see it was not, unfortunately.
There is this trend out now where men apparently like talking about the Roman Empire. The revelation came out recently that men think about the Roman Empire at least a few times per week, whereas men think about Mr. Rogers never.
So you probably got that from the internet, so it must be true. See that? Boy, hold on. No, men think about Mr. Rogers 5 times a week. It's right here. I just
maybe some kind of men, but I don't know. My last thing, it is considered the most historical city in the world, which was surprising to me, over Athens, Cairo, Jerusalem, and most surprising, Buffalo. If you got anything else, hit me. Go ahead, or should we give it to Paul?
I can't imagine how it surpassed Buffalo. But no, I think, yay, kudos to you because it's so old, but it just doesn't dominate that particular field like Mr. Rogers did.
Oh my God. All right. Not a single rational person would prefer Mr. Rogers' neighborhood over Mr. Robinson's neighborhood. And he's very likely not even the most accomplished Rogers. We got Will Rogers, Roy Rogers, Buck Rogers, and of course, Kenny Rogers. Hit it, Jillian. You got to know when to hold them. Hold them. Know when to walk away. He's not the most accomplished Rogers. Amongst people who preceded Mr. Rogers on children's television, you ready for it? Captain Kangaroo, 13 years before. Walt Disney, 13 years before. Jim Henson had been doing puppet work for 10 years before Mr. Rogers. And let's not forget, over 20 years before, Bozo the Clown. You want to throw it to Paul?
Well, you broke up, but yeah.
I'm sorry. That doesn't help. All right.
Like I don't need to, rant, rave, and scream. I'm resting on my facts.
All right, Paul, what do you got?
First of all, I have a question because I didn't quite hear you. I learned a lot from both of you. There's a lot of facts in there. You said that satire came from Rome and farce, F-R-A-R-C-E?
Definitely satire for sure.
I thought you said farts, and I was like, for farting?
Well, I was gonna be like, whoa, hey.
Okay, so farce. I got you.
Yes.
First of all, Mark did a tremendous job, given that he had a really uphill battle. Because when I saw Fred Rogers on the list, I also didn't think it was a joke. I thought he was talking in my head about Fred and Ginger, that pairing. So I was like, well, that's a great and a dominant. But are they that good? And I went on YouTube to look it up, and then I was watching Mr. Rogers, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. In my house, Mr. Rogers was referred to as he's good, but he's no Rex Trailer. And Rex Trailer was referred to as he's good, but he's no Captain Kangaroo. So for me, it's pretty easy. It's Rome in a landslide.
Hey!
Oh,
All right, we're moving on. Round 3. Jillian, what do we got?
all right. The judge in round three is going to be Mark. We have Dave arguing for gold versus Paul arguing for Ted Williams.
All right, here we go. Gold. When you hear gold, you think the best. That's what it means. Ted Williams, you think a floating head. That's what you think with Ted Williams. I, like most kids, grew up in the 80s, had a gold chain, not a necklace, a chain. Because, like all good Italian kids, I wanted to look like Mr. T. But I had a problem with that, bigger than just my one little chain. I didn't have a mohawk. So, but my point is that people love gold, always have. Egypt, 3,000 years before Christ, considered gold the flesh of the gods. Though it seems like those gods should have been powerful enough to take their skin back. But gold fueled the Roman Empire, which we've already determined is dominant. Current value, 3,389, and it's rising to its highest point ever. That's over 15 times more than Amazon stock, and as Mark will appreciate, over 2,000 times more than what? Pork bellies. So there's my initial volley with gold.
Okay, Ted Williams, okay, for those of you who didn't know, was the best in the world at 3 things. By the end of the show, I'll challenge anyone in the show to name me someone else who can make that claim. He's a baseball player. He's by far the greatest hitter of all time. They pluck him out of the MLB and say, hey, do you mind flying these airplanes over in Korea and taking out some of their fighter pilots? Read your history, because everyone in his squadron and in the squadrons in that area said, hands down, the best pilot they'd ever seen. They've been training for decades. He showed up. He was better than all of them. Then when he's finished dominating on land and in the sky, he goes, you know what? I think I'll go dominate on the ocean while I'm at it. He becomes a fisherman. He's in the Fisherman Hall of Fame, mind you, Fly Fisherman Hall of Fame. Read up on all the competitions in the tropics and in Florida. Everyone who went against him said, the guy's unbelievable. He's the best fisherman I've ever seen. Okay, so that's 3 areas of the earth. Should he be great on another one? He probably could, but there aren't any left. Okay, that's it. That's all there is. Lastly, he was a prophet. I'm going to wind up here. I don't need to hear you 10 seconds. I'm going to wind up right here. This man treated the media like a steaming pile of garbage decades before we realized they deserved to be treated like that. Amen to Ted Williams.
All right, let's go with gold. What do you get with gold? You get Olympic gold. The Nobel Peace Prize is gold. The Grammy Award is gold. The World Cup, your beloved World Cup, is gold. The Golden Globe, gold. NBA championship, gold. NBA MVP, gold. The Emmy Award, gold. And if Ted Williams had ever won the World Series, which he did not, those little flags on top are made of gold.
Baseball's an individual sport. It's not his fault he was on the Red Sox and the Yankees had a time when there was no salary cap. The thing that you're talking about, the element, the mineral, the metal, is not even more valuable than elements such as platinum, indium, palladium, rhodium. So if you're going to have it on the list, every week when the person reads the list, they're going to have to read these off first because they're more valuable.
All right. First of all, I appreciate the rap. Everything you just said rhymed. That was awesome. But go check out what platinum is selling for now compared to gold, and gold is blowing it away. Gold is great. Like golden grams, great. Graham crackers suck. Winning the Olympic gold, great. Crowns, gold. Record, gold. What's the best corral? The Golden Corral. Who are the best girls? The Golden Girls.
Now you're just getting punny. You're just getting punny. Jadeite is worth $10,000. Your thing is worth $3,000. You do the math.
Tech uses. It's used in electronics, aerospace, medical devices, and my beloved Elvis sunglasses. You can't beat that.
The only reason gold went up today is you probably bought a bunch. So you can okay? I've had enough of your gold. Ted Williams was the gold standard for human beings, being dominant at a bunch of stuff.
Ted Williams had an award named after him, the All-Star MVP Award. And that's only because a prior award named after him was dumped. They didn't want his name on it. And his MVP award is made of what? Glass. It's not even worth gold. Glass. Open up your kitchen cabinet. You can find glass.
What did gold do for us in the Korean War? Anything? You got 5 seconds.
The man spit at fans and refused to apologize. You know who never spit at fans? Fred Rogers. And for some reason, Fred Rogers is not in the top 25. How can we have Ted Williams in here and not Fred Rogers?
Didn't we freeze Ted Williams because he was considered so valuable? Have they ever frozen gold? There's no need to. The stuff's everywhere. Ted Williams is unique. That's why they froze him.
All right. I appreciate you referencing the freezing. I think he should try to make himself useful in his frozen state and just roll over to Sleepy Hollow and use his head to recapitate the headless horseman. That would be a nice use for Ted Williams.
He's in 2 Hall of Fames. He's in the baseball and
gold.
The
gold is probably all over those Hall of Fames.
He would probably be in the fighter pilot if they had one. Is gold in a Hall of
Honestly,
Fame? No, it isn't.
I feel bad for Ted Williams. Let's consider him dead right now if he's in and say he's made it to heaven. What happens if that cryogenics works? Then he's got to leave heaven. But my guess is he knew he was a horrible human being. He was headed to hell, and cryogenics is the only hope for him to get the hell out of there.
I'm just going to say this. He should be on the list, and the list should be named after Ted Williams. Good night.
He is not better than Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, drove tanks.
I'm not saying that he's better than them at baseball, but those guys couldn't do all the other. He's just phenomenal at everything.
Willie Mays did other things too.
Was he the best in the world at them? No.
And Williams wasn't the best at baseball.
He was the best hitter of all time. No one argues that.
Pete Rose might.
Let's turn it over to the judge.
All right, give it to the judge.
All right, boys. Well done by both of you. Dave, I'll start with you in terms of gold. I like it, but then I'm kind of also looking at our list. And again, this was before I kind of got started. I knew I was going to be judging gold versus Ted Williams. And I know that on our list, one of the top items up there is money, right? So we've already talked about wealth and money and whatnot. And when I think of gold, that's kind of what I think of. So my sense is you guys already have money and wealth kind of already on that list. So I don't think gold is going to trump that. So I was just kind of you make a good, point to it. But I got to be honest, when I saw Ted Williams, I was kind of excited about it because I'm a big Ted Williams fan. And I got to kind of agree with Paul. I think that you cannot look in terms of dominance, right? The fact that he has so much, a lot like, Fred Rogers brings a lot to the table. I just find what he has done is dominant. Yeah. And I think the fact that he completes his career again, it still is one of the best, not the best, but certainly way up there. And you take away, his prime, he was fighting for the country. I mean, those are his prime years he was gone. And yet still, winds up with amazing numbers. You talk about the fishing, which I'm a big fan of. You talk about, again, his military service, and you talk about his baseball service. I think he is one of the more dominant baseball type individuals and all around. I like gold. No one's doubting that. We all do. But I've been kind of a Ted Williams guy, so I was probably the wrong guy to judge because.
Yeah, I'm going up against 2 Boston guys here.
Yeah.
Ted Williams. This thing was rigged. Yeah. I tell you.
All could have just said Paul Williams, Red Sox. I'd be like,
let's just agree. Fred Rogers got screwed. All right.
There you go. He's up in heaven talking to Ted right now.
All right, we're moving on. We've got a little less than 9 minutes left or 10 minutes left for the reveal of the top 25. Jillian, take it away.
Starting at number 25, we have Shakespeare
that's getting eliminated by one of ours. Yes.
All right. Well, then we have number 24, couples arguing in public.
That's one of my favorite pastimes, I got to admit. I like to go to the airport and just watch couples battle. And then, if one of them goes to the bathroom, I'll kind of nudge the other one and say, you're not going to take that crap from him. I just keep it going. Love it.
All right. We have number 23, Batman getting eliminated.
Batman's gone. All right. So where we got now? What's after 20?
We got number 22.
Yeah.
22, Canada.
All right.
And number 21, we have the Domination rankings.
We're still in there, guys. We're still in there.
Still strong. We've got number 20, Alabama Crimson Tide women's wheelchair basketball team. Oh my. Are they dominant just because of the length of their name?
All right. They're good. They're the most dominant sports team around. Go ahead.
We've got 19 Pasta, 18 Star Wars, 17 Jeep, 16 Premier League Soccer.
All right. Hang. Now, Mark already crapped on this, but it turns out there is no league called Premier League Soccer. There's the Premier League in England, and there's actually four pro leagues in the U.S. with the word Premier in it, which just seems wrong that any U.S. soccer league could go by Premier. But
I
so we
agree.
might need to change this name.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it should be EPL.
Yes.
All right.
15, we have the Pope, 14 air conditioning.
Again, we were talking about summertime. I think it's very appropriate. Again, I don't think summertime is dominant, but you certainly need the AC when it's there, unless I drop the air conditioning out the window. It's been known to happen when you have to go, put those up there. But I'm a big fan of the AC. Big fan of the AC.
Got it.
All right, 13 Elvis, 12 NYC.
I can't believe New York City, the most dank, dour, depressing city in this country, on this list.
Coming
Okay?
from a guy from Boston.
Crappy sports teams, traffic up the A, and an accent that could turn the most jacked up Viagra user completely flaccid in 4 words or less.
All right, 11, we have jeans. 10, we have The Simpsons. 9, sandwiches.
Sandwiches, I mean, you cannot go wrong with a sandwich. Right? Like that is like literally almost nature's best food in my estimation. You can put that at any point in time, any time of day. You can do a breakfast sandwich. You can do lunch, obviously, dinner. It's so much easier than cooking. Sandwich has got to be, again, in my estimation, on a roll. I think it's got to stay. If not, move up higher. I don't know why it's so low.
All right, 8 is Jesus. 7, money. Yeah, and interesting, by the way, how much am I getting paid for this?
Twice what I am.
Nice. All right, 6, sex.
Move on.
Making people laugh. 4, a good bowel movement.
All right. So when I first typed this, I forgot the E in bowel. And so I had it as a good bowl movement. But it turns out that you will get a good bowl movement with a good bowel movement. So I think I was still right.
Number 3, sleep. 2, TV, and 1, pizza.
Number pizza stays number one again.
As
All
it
right.
should.
There you have it, guys. What did we learn? Did we learn anything with this other than Ted Williams fishes?
I learned that you made a typo. I also did. Originally, I submitted couples arguing. It was supposed to be pubically, but it ended up as publicly. So at least it found a home for a few days anyway.
There you go. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we did good. I don't think this sucked. That's it. Thanks to Jillian, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Go blue.
Goodbye.
All right.